Welcome to the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Here we talk about the connection between creativity and healing, and how we are creative and how creativity helps us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally. Join us now.
Hi everyone, I'm not your usual host, Alice Wood of Creative You Healing, and today I have with me your usual host, Larissa Russell. Larissa is an international best-selling author, speaker, artist, coach, and healer. She is the founder of Creative You Healing. Larissa also hosts this podcast where every week she has amazing conversations with creatives, healers, and people who have healed with the help of creativity. Due to a need that she saw and felt passionate about, Larissa founded Queer Voices, a not-for-profit that shares stories and resources for the LGBTQ+ community. She also hosts their podcast of the same name. And Larissa is blessed to work with women who are ready to make a change in their lives. So welcome, Larissa.
Thank you. It's odd to be on this side of the interview, I guess. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And as well as all of that, you've just started a new monthly conversation on your channel and on Deb Epstein's channel, A Connection with Spirit. So this is an awful lot of stuff for one person to take on. It's an awfully big challenge. So what called you to do it? Why? Why do it?
Why do it? I saw the need because I found that the system was lacking in our mental health resources to the point where I've shared this story before about being hospitalized over my depression and realizing that the system was not there to help me. I needed to do something more. And so I started with the creativity to work through my own things, writing, painting, and a lot of other things. And as I started to tap into that, I realized how much better I was feeling. And when I started to do things intentionally, even more so. So as I was healing, I recognized the need for other people to have these resources as well and to look at things a little differently. And so that's why I just felt like I needed to help people. Yeah.
That's good. So what does healing with creativity mean to you?
Oh, that is care for self. That is all about life. Because honestly, creativity is in everything we do. And this is another thing I've said often. Creativity is in everything we do. And we often think we aren't creative because we're not artists. And when we say artists, we think of best-selling novelists, or we play in a symphony, or, we sell paintings for thousands of dollars. However, we are all creative. And if you're creating, you are an artist. But our society, our culture has put so much value on production and doing, and you must have an end result, that they have forgotten how important creativity is in our well-being. And so healing with creativity is literally that, stepping back into creativity and whatever that looks like for you to help your well-being.
Yeah. So because creativity, it seems to me, has become sort of commoditized, and it's all about, well, how much can you make out of this tune you've just invented, or this video you've just, instead of just doing it for the sake of doing it. That pleasure principle seems to have disappeared in some aspects of our society, and the fun seems to be lacking a little, I think. So when you create for yourself, what questions are you trying to answer?
Oh, that's a good one. I do a lot of my creativity based on healing that I want to do, working through things. So I do a lot of intuitive work, having messages come to me. So it's about what I need to know right now. And so that's the biggest part of sort of what I'm trying to answer. What do I need to know right now? Sometimes it's just about letting everything go So there's no questions, there's no answers. It's just a matter of getting into that flow and letting go. But often I am intentional with what do I need to know right now and what is coming through my work.
Right. Right. So how do you create? What modality do you use? Are you a painter or a sculptor or?
Yes.
Or
I don't knit. I do crochet. I would consider abstract art my medium of choice. However, writing, I do a lot of writing.
Right.
And I also, like, there's literally, I can't think of anything in particular that I don't do other than knitting. I'm up to try anything. And I look at creativity, you know, because it's in everything we do. One of my favorite things to create is spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets.
Oh,
I know
wow,
this is a randomly weird thing.
Hey.
I love spreadsheets. I have color-coded spreadsheets. I have, you know, all of these different things.
Right.
So, and I also create my business and the work that I do.
Yes, true. Yes.
Yeah, it's in everything, and yeah.
Do you find yourself switching from one to the next, like a spiral, you know, move around from one to the next? Yes,
Absolutely. I think a lot of creatives do, right? Yeah.
So while you're creating, do you have other creativity going on around you? Are you listening to music, or are you watching a YouTube video, or is it just
no.
you? And
typically for my own self. So this is another thing that I've shared multiple times, but I have autism, and I have sensory issues. And so having music playing or, you know, TV going while creating often causes me a little bit of angst. And so it doesn't allow me to let go. I know so many people use music that way. I love music, but it's for house cleaning or, you know, active things, or driving in the car. I do like music driving in the car. But when I'm creating, I like silence, and I like to really delve into what I'm actually creating.
Okay. So I have to look at this. But you host Create with Me once a week. So how, and you create there? I've seen you do it. So how does that work for you? Is that just because you know everybody else is creating, so you're going to join in?
It's a good point, because you know, we're chatting.
Yes.
I would have to say, don't tell anybody this. I'd have to say I don't do my best work there. I create because I love that connecting with people, and I love the time to create. But can I get into the zone, or can I
the flow,
do the deeper work, that flow? No, I can't do that there. So I create because I enjoy it, and I enjoy the conversation. But yeah, it's completely different than if I'm answering questions for myself or creating a piece to sell. I wouldn't do that there. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite art supply, or does that change depending on the project?
Yes, absolutely. Depends on the project. If you took a look around my craft room office, I would have to say acrylic paint is still my go-to. That and metallic foils. When I do abstract art, I almost always use metallic foils, almost always use acrylics, but I do love pretty much anything. So any medium, I'll try it. Oh, except for oil paints. I don't think I've tried oil paints. I think because it takes too long to dry, and I don't have that kind of patience.
Yeah, and I'm always worried about getting it on my clothes and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's something I've never got. Right. So is there anything else that you'd like to add that we may not have discussed here today?
The most important thing I'd like to share is to find what creativity works for you, because we all need it. And I know that creativity is a feminine energy, but we need the balance of masculine and feminine. So men need to create, women need to create, we all need to create. And we just need to find what works for us. And we need to not worry about what the final outcome is. We need to create for creation's sake. And don't worry about what the final outcome is. I think art teachers and marking of art in school has destroyed our confidence around creating. And so just create for creation's sake.
Yeah, I think that's missing so much. Going back to that commoditization, and that you've got to have the right thing, and it's got to look. Yeah, it really does kind of spoil and take the joy out of it.
It absolutely does.
For so many people. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Well, thank you so much for interviewing me today.
So thank you so much for being here today. To our listeners, we will see you again next time. And in the meantime, I wish for you amazingly creative days.
That sounds vaguely familiar.